What's going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys are new, welcome. We got another banging build for you today, throwing it back a little bit to some Warmind Cells. Now this build is going to create those big explosions for ad clears, creating scorch and ignitions, which in turn play into our aspects and fragments that we're going to be having on our guardians. Definitely interchangeable between Titan, Warlock, and Hunter, that is for sure. Just armor mods for those Warmind cells have to stay the same. We're going to be using 5 of them total, 1 for each of our armor pieces obviously, and they are solar, 4 of them, with a normal one being a just 1, so it doesn't matter what burn you have on that armor piece, but you do need 4 solar armor pieces, and then a few different gun options that we're going to have as well. So to start out with the super here, we don't need to go over our abilities, aspects, anything like that really for our Titan. Just know that when you're running fragments wise, our first 3 that we have here are going to be our most important to have, whether it is on Titan, Warlock, or Hunter. Definitely just throw on your aspects that you use with those PvE classes. So for our Titan, we're going to have Roaring Flame, Soul Invictus. For our Hunter, we're going to have Knock 'em Down and that Gunpowder Gambler. And then for our Warlock, we're going to have Icarus Dash, as well as our aspect that gives us the Enhanced Grenades. And then you can pick and choose. My personal one is Solar, that throws off those lava blobs. But for these fragments that I was talking about, our first 3 ones will be the most important, and then our 4th, because again, it depends on if you're running Titan, Hunter, or Warlock, how many fragment slots you have open. But first off, we're going to have Ember of Charge, so those solar ignitions spread scorch to those affected target areas. That's going to help with those solar scorches and ignitions that we're creating via our Warmind cells. Next off, we have Ember of Eruption, so your solar ignitions have increased area of effect, so that scorch that we're going to be giving out via those Warmind cells, as well as just our abilities in general, are going to have bigger explosions via that ignition. And then for our third slot here, which is the 3rd most important, is Ember of Blistering, which gives us our grenade energy back when we get those ignition defeats. And because of these Warmind cells, and like I said, the spread of scorch, we're going to be getting ignitions a lot, giving us that nice grenade energy. Finally, followed about Ember of Torches, so we can just be radiant and be doing more damage when we're throwing our throwing hammer, our snap, or our throwing knives around. Now for this build here, our weapons definitely matter, because only 7th Seraph weapons as well as Ikelos weapons will be able to create Warmind cells, with a few exceptions via exotics like our Xenophage here, as well as Sunshot. Those explosions that you get from those solar defeats have a chance of doing it. A little bit harder to get that to proc, as well as Ace of Spades when you get that Firefly to proc. So there's a few different ways we can get them to drop, but more importantly, it's basically these weapons that do it. Our solar abilities can as well, based on the mods we have on our armor. But first off, this is my main one that I go with, is Xenophage with my Ikelos SMG, as well as Succession. Succession I use for that far range, as well as breaking the Warmind cells, and I create Warmind cells via the Ikelos SMG or Xenophage. Xeno is super good with getting those defeats, and it pops it immediately. So as soon as you get a defeat, it'll pop up in the air sometimes, and you can shoot it right away again with Xenophage, creating that big explosion and clearing out those ads. Another option that you can have is the 7th Seraph Carbine. I don't use it nearly as much, obviously, but it does also produce Warmind cells, and so does this Ikelos sniper rifle right here, which is solar and pairs well with our Solar 3.0 as well. But both of these weapons also give us those Warmind cells, but definitely my favorite is running the Ikelos SMG. Easiest for me with Subsistence Demo, and then Succession as well to break them. And then Xenophage is just a given, the easiest solar exotic that gives us those Warmind cells to proc. Now for our armor, it doesn't really matter, like I said, what armor you're running, as long as 4 pieces have solar burn, and then the 5th one, like I have here, is void. It doesn't matter because we're going to be running global reach on that piece of armor. So first off, we have that harmonic siphon, so we can create orbs of power via our xenophage and those explosions. And then we're going to have fire team medic. When we destroy a Warmind cell, it creates a nice burst of healing for you and your nearby allies, which just helps us stay alive, and it clears ads while healing us, so that is super nice. Next off right here, we're going to have Burning Cells, another solar energy mod that we have here. So destroying those Warmind cells create that burst of solar energy, which causes enemies to burn, or that scorch, which in turn will cause ignitions. So it's super nice. We blow up a Warmind cell, cause scorch and ignitions on enemies. Next off, on your chest piece, we have Rage of Warmind, which is super nice. It adds additional solar damage to those explosions of these Warmind cells, which again just helps us create those solar ignitions and scorch, and absolutely clears out ads like it's no one's business. On our armor piece that is not solar, you're going to be running global reach, so those Warmind cells have a larger AoE, and definitely the difference between having global reach on and off is a pretty big distance in my opinion. So this definitely helps with clearing out those ads at a farther distance, applying that scorch to those enemies, and everything that these Warmind cells do with its healing as well. Finally, on our class item here, we're going to have Classy Restoration, so we can have that nice restoration proc when we drop our solar ability, whether it be our dodge, rift, or shield, like I said, depending on which class you are playing. And then our final Warmind cell mod is going to be Wrath of Rasputin, so that solar splash damage final blows have chances to create Warmind cells, which that comes into play with throwing around our grenades, as well as some of our solar ignitions will have chances to drop those solar Warmind cells. As you can see, my super was also creating them because of that solar splash damage. And then with all that pairing of the Warmind cell mods, we're going to be creating Warmind cells when we shoot Warmind cells, because of that explosion and burn that it has, and that solar splash damage has chances of creating Warmind cells in itself. So it's a perpetual ad clear, as well as applying scorch and ignition to those larger areas via that Warmind cell explosion. And like I said, running that SMG, super good for ad clear. Xenophage is good for damage, and then they both produce Warmind cells very easily, and then you can clean it up with the sniper, taking it into Gambit. As you can see, I was absolutely murdering. I was absolutely destroying the ads. My team wasn't that great, but in the end, I ended up having 77 defeats, and the rest of the team had maybe 60 total. So you can see the power of this build with Warmind cells spreading that scorch and ignition, as well as that healing from fire team medic when you explode those Warmind cells. Super good with Solar 3.0, even better than they used to be in my personal opinion. So definitely throw it back to the Warmind cells, everybody, and give them a shot. They are banging and very good at that ad clear. Definitely for those Gambit, normal strikes, lost sectors, going in Altar of Sorrows, even our Nightmare containment this season. Very fun and easy to use for everybody. Just got to make sure you get those mods when A1 is selling them in the tower. That's probably going to be the hardest part of this build, but once you get them, this is a cracked build for Solar 3.0, so I definitely suggest everyone give it a try. So thank y'all again so much for watching. Hopefully y'all are enjoying the Solstice event this year. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.